I wanted to take a look at the materials sector because it is the number two performing sector year to date in 2025, which is interesting. There has been some big causal factors that have helped this particular sector. And what I wanted to do is go and look at some individual stocks that are part of this sector, see if there's a good investment out there worth investing in. So, real quick glance at materials. Materials year to date is number two. It's up 10.2%. That is really, really good. Over the 5 year, it's done about 80% rate of return, which is fairly good, comparable to financials as an example. So for the past year, it's done about 16%. It hasn't really kept up with the big appreciating sectors like communications or technology. But this could be a hedge on those sectors. As those sectors begin to fade, maybe materials will rise. So let's take a look at a couple of companies that are part of this sector and see if we can find out why they're rallying. More importantly, which ones might be good to consider investing in? I currently don't own any materials companies. It's not a sector that I have a lot of specialty or expertise in. I've never worked in a materials like company. It hasn't been an investment that I've made in the past with significance. So maybe there is a jewel out there that I can invest in. Let's take a look. I'm going to lead with a company that I am familiar with, and that's BHP. This company is headquartered in Australia and mines for a variety of materials, one of them being copper, another one being iron ore. And its geographic location sets it up to sell its product to Asia, is principally China. So as China expands, BHP, that's their number one customer, or I should say, as a country, that's where they export the most. So this might be an interesting play. The market cap is substantial, 131 billion. BHP, by the way, is going to announce today after the market closes. So we'll get a little bit of an update from them, which will be interesting to read. Year to date, the stock is up 5.57%, not bad. But over the 1 year, it's really sold off. Over the 5 year, it hasn't really performed all that great. It pays a high dividend of 5.66%, which is fairly good. It's fairly high, and I believe they can afford it. Analysts believe it's a strong buy, but it's only discounted by 2.81%. So interesting that they have a strong buy rating, but the stock is really not discounted a whole lot. When I look at a company like this, I want to make sure I don't have too much debt on the balance sheet. I'm getting a fair price. The forward P looks really good, 12.15. It'd be interesting to see what other PEs in their sector look like to see if this one is a very favorable PE. When I look at their debt level, let's take a look at that and go debt to EBITDA. And debt to EBITDA is 0.79. That's really low. So their balance sheet's really strong. They produce tremendous free cash flow, $11.39 billion. That is incredible. They have very good gross margins. So this is looking like a company that might be a good investment. BHP paying a high dividend. For the past year, they haven't really appreciated a whole lot, but they are catching a rally, and we'll get earnings from them today, which will make this one an interesting stock to take a look at and maybe throw a couple bucks into this investment. Next, I wanted to cover Sherwin-Williams because this is another company that I'm familiar with, and I've actually covered them on a live stream a few times as investors have asked for my opinion on Sherwin-Williams. In general, the company's doing well. Year to date's up 5%, not bad. Over the 1 year, up 16%, and you get a small dividend. So probably a rate of return is 17% looking at the last 12 months. It has had a pretty good pullback recently. So maybe that's opening the door for a good investment. Analysts believe it's a buy and it's discounted by 12.46%. And the forward PE is 29.65. That seems a little high to me. This is a materials company, right? They do primarily paints and coatings and so forth. So that's not necessarily a high growth area. So I think that forward PE is looking a little too high for me. Their market cap's 89.5 billion, revenue of 23 billion. One thing that comes to mind with Sherwin-Williams is that, if they produce a lot of their product domestically in the US, the whole trade war battle may help them because they may see that the tariffs are actually helping them raise their prices, keep their margins, because any foreign made paint coming into the country is going to receive a tariff. So that might be in play for this company. So this looks like a okay investment. Probably not something for me. I'm not seeing enough value in this stock. And nothing big is really coming out at me saying that, hey, I could probably double my money over the next 5 years investing in Sherwin-Williams. So I'm going to pass on Sherwin-Williams. But that is one of the bigger market cap companies in this sector. Now I'm going to cover a company I hadn't even heard of, which is CRH. And this is a building materials company in Ireland and internationally. It does operate in the US, Europe, and other places. Market cap of this company is 73 billion. So it's a pretty good sized market cap company. And their forward P is 18.7. And materials companies, at least historically, they carry pretty low PEs. And I'm seeing some pretty high PEs. It shows that they have been appreciating in value. Dividend of 1.21%. And it's a strong buy, but doesn't present a very good discount to the investor. Year to date, this stock is flourishing, up 17%. That's really good. And up 49.54%. Wow, that is incredible, impressive. And over the 5 years, up 176%. This is a pretty good size cap company, so they may be really growing their revenues nicely. It looks like in 21, 22, 23, revenues grew nicely. But as we get to the most current year, it has had a very dramatic quarterly revenue growth and contraction. Contraction in Q1, high growth in Q2, and then some good growth in Q3. So that growth is showing that their product is desirable in the market. Customers like their products. So that growth is really impressive. For building materials, how much building is going to happen? Just speaking of the US, since it's where I reside, I'm not seeing that we're going to have a boom in construction, at least for 25, because interest rates are fairly high. I think it's kind of tough to be a developer of real estate. With regards to big infrastructure projects, I'm hearing that the US government is actually looking to reduce expense or spending at the federal level. They're not really focused on breaking ground on some new infrastructure projects that are going to create jobs. That hasn't been the focus. That I'm sure that'll be the focus eventually. But right now, they're just really trying to assess what's going on with the spending at the U.S. federal level and trying to reduce spend. So I don't know if that's going to help a company like CRH from a big federal budget perspective. So overall, this one here, it looks like it doesn't have enough for me to sink my teeth into it and think about investing. So far, just BHP looked fairly interesting. Let's take a look at a couple more. Newmont Corporation, these guys, they are in the exploration of gold and also copper, silver, and zinc. Now, gold prices have been surging. I think the inflation reports are helping the price of gold, which helps Newmont as a result. Also, copper prices have been going up, silver prices have been going up. So those factors are really helping Newmont really have a terrific 2025. The stock's up 25%. And over the last 12 months, it's up 45%. So this has been a winner. When we look at the company, it's a $52 billion market cap company with $17 billion of revenue. It pays a nice dividend of 2.15%. This has been a really, really nice investment for whomever owns them. It's a buy with a discount available of 15%. It looks terrific. Looking at their revenue growth, look at that revenue growth in the trailing 12 months, up 53%. That's what rising commodity prices will do for a materials company. And it looks like Newmont is in a good position. As we look at the inflation, I just don't see if inflation is going to go down. I don't see how it could go down very fast. It's just one of those things that takes a long time. So the rally in gold is probably going to continue as well as the rally in copper and silver. So Newmont has been a winner, and the stock price hasn't reached its 52-week high, which it had in the October 22nd, 2024 time frame. This may still have some legs and might be worth considering throwing a few bucks into this one. I'm going to note this one as potentially a stock that I want to do a deep dive in. Forward P is 12. That's really good. So overall, just really impressive. Newmont Corporation getting it done and worth my time to see if this is a really good investment. And the final stock that I look at is Nucor Corporation. And Nucor is in the steel production business. And steel has been kind of a primary election issue. If you recall, the Japanese wanted to buy one of our big steel producers here in the US. And both candidates really stood firm not to allow that because a lot of jobs would have been lost in Pennsylvania. So that was accomplished. So it fended off that acquisition that was going to happen. And now with the tariffs that were placed, I think it helps a domestic producer of steel like Nucor. So we've seen a nice rally in Nucor for the current year, 18, up 18%. And this one here, looking back, I think this one could have been telegraphed by just about anybody who really studied the situation. The tariffs were going to do this. So I think to myself and go, hey, maybe I should have bought some of these shares when the election was had. But there it is, Monday morning quarterbacking. So the market cap of this company is 32 billion. Revenue is 30 billion. Forward P isn't too bad, 18.5. Although this is a materials company, so I'm not totally in favor of buying into companies with high PEs that are materials companies. Analysts still think there's some upside in this stock. I can't argue with that. I think it's in a good place, and it has been sold off over the past year. We're seeing that inflation is sticking around, and these guys may see better pricing going forward, which will help them. And I think their labor costs are pretty set. It's not like their labor is very volatile or increases or decreases a whole lot. So I think they're in a good place and worth a consideration into a portfolio. The dividend isn't very high, 1.6%. That is interesting. They don't pay a lot of dividend. Over the 5 years, this has gotten it done, up 187%. Very, very nice investment for the long-term investor. Over the 1 year, maybe it's providing a nice acquisition price. And the year to date, it's really broken out and really shown that, hey, could be a really nice investment. So that's a list of the companies that are in the materials sector. Materials sector is performing as the number 2 best sector for 2025. And there are a lot of companies. You see a lot of green on the screen. These are the top 19 companies in the sector. All the top 19 are in the green. And some of them, like Wheaton Precious Metals, up 20%. Nucor, which covered 18%. Barrick Gold, up 15%. And Nico Eagle Mines, I believe they're in a gold miner, up 22%. So there's a lot of green on the screen, and really interesting to see that this sector is really up there with the best performing sectors for 2025. So no matter where we are every year, the stock market will present areas of potential investment that can reward the investor that does his or her homework. In this case here, it looks like materials are looking like a really nice sector to consider. And I'm going to do some homework on a couple of the stocks that we covered, see if it's a stock that I want to invest in and make some money here in 2025. So that's my materials stock video. Would love to get your comments on any of the above or the sector as a whole, what you think about the sector, how you're invested in the sector. That'd be interesting to read. And this is a sector that I don't have a lot of expertise in or experience. So anybody out there that's invested in this sector for a long time, please comment and share your knowledge with the rest of the community. That'd be awesome. So thank you so much for watching the video. I really appreciate it. Good luck investing.